All right, there you go. Hello, everybody. It is Brian. I am back. It is Thursday. Uh, just been a hell of a week. Hell of a week. And I have a really busy background. But that's okay because it's soothing and either that or it's going to piss you off and you're going to go away. But yeah, no. Oh, hold on. Let me change. Let me shut my door. Oh, fuck. Hey, hey, come on, come on, come here, come on. Cannot believe the minute I start recording, you're like yowling a lot. Okay, you just I don't know what causes that. It's like you hear me say stream, and it's like, oh, I need to yowl and sing the song of my people. What is it? Hey, hey, come on. Yeah, come on, come on. Little magic fingers. There we go. Okay. All right. Hey, Walt, how you doing? Good to see you. Hope everything's going well. All right. Oh, now you're going back down. Okay. So yeah, I'm at work and I'm at play. But I'm actually everyone remember that meme of NCIS and you've got one lab tech, I think it was Abby was their name, and they're typing on the keyboard, and then the other guy comes in, he starts typing on the same keyboard like they're trying to stop a hacker or something. I kind of feel that way about the work I'm doing with Claude. I mean, it helps that I have two keyboards, but um, it's really weird because I can do multiple projects at the same time, and unlike most of the things that my ADD causes issues with, I don't have that ooh squirrel thing or where I forget to do some of that stuff. So, uh, uh, cats are the best part of the street. I'm not going to tell her you said that because then she'll get a big head and assume that she's the star of the show. Uh, but it's just sorry, one second here. Okay, yep, let's build this. Let's go. All right. Sorry, I had to tell my work project that I'm working on to do its thing. So yes, auto accept. By the way, I have a thing about the auto accept thing that's coming up. All right, so let me double check things before I move because I want to make sure like audio is working when I move over. Okay. Me in a browser, me in vibe coding. Okay, that works. Because we have a Socvel quiz, and we have my bits here. All right. So a couple of things that I've learned about in the last week with regards to building a rag or building anything in particular that is, I don't want to say overwhelmingly difficult, but and I actually have some slides because I'm debating whether or not to. And I don't do this a lot, but speaking publicly, wired. Sorry, I have two keyboards for my Mac, a wireless one that I normally use, and a wired iMac keyboard for backup and function keys. Oh, that's kind of cool. I have my Logitech that I've used for work for a while. It's nothing fancy. Has nice quiet keys. You can tell some of them are a little bit shinier than normal because I tend to use the space bar a lot. And apparently the W key, for all intents and purposes. Oh, no, and the N key. The N key is pretty much wore out too. This one is a little bit nicer. It's also a MX mechanical, so it actually has like Cherry MX keys and stuff in it. It's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It has a charge port and everything. I do that so because if I had a USB box that would switch my keyboard and mouse, it would never work right for me. So, but yeah, I actually had to. So you saw me doing some of the rag stuff that I'm doing. I've called it Project Darkly now, for all intents and purposes. So let me go ahead and transition. Boop, there we are. All right. So I created a slideshow, but it's in HTML with the idea of being able to speak to what I've been working on and some of the issues, and I don't say hardships, but it's some of the issues that I've had to handle from somebody who doesn't code and has never dealt with a retrieval augment LLM situation. So give you a little background here. Let me pull up an example of something that I have to deal with on a regular basis. So let me see. So I have a very big collection of. I'm a data hoarder basically, and for about a decade, I have had books of a certain type, RPGs basically. And some of these are a little old and they don't have a PDF version, or if you buy them from places like Drive Through RPG, you're not going to get an OCR copy. You're going to get a nice version like this that is just a bunch of JPEG images thrown into a PDF, kind of like this, where you see the outline of the document, like somebody did a really bad copy of that. And this is the second edition. Actually, I had the first edition of this one as well. I have bought all of my books through Drive Through RPG or other legitimate sources. Moving forward, so as you can see, some of these have a different level of quality for some of these. In most rags, especially like the ones like when we were talking, or like when Mick Douglas had built his rag, and he, nothing against what he did, absolutely 100% nothing against what he did, but a lot of the content that he was going to create or use with that, I feel like was going to be really nice policy type stuff. So you got really simple black text on white background, right? And unfortunately, that doesn't work for a lot of the content that I have wanted to use. So, give an example. So, um, if it was all just white text, black background, no images, no tables, or whatever, a rag would be very much simpler in this case. And I could have built this thing probably in about 2 hours with no issues. And set up my indexing database and my vectors, and used something like rapid OCR or PyMu PDF or something like that to just say, take this simple background picture, it's this simple PDF, and do the thing. Let me see if I can have an example of that. What is it? No, that's not it. It's an example. Let me see. Do I have downloads? I'm going to just source doc PDF. Oh, damn you. Um, so anyway, so the problem comes in for PDFs like this that are not the best quality. In this case, they read like an academic paper where they have two columns, which not every PDF ingestion or OCR or system can handle. Some of them will read left to right, just like everybody else. So you're going to get things that are out of order. You're going to get, some kinds of issues. You may actually have to tell it, hey, I'm going to be processing a lot of two-column, multi-100-page PDFs in this case. And then, of course, you have things like images, which in OCR is not supposed to be able to process, right? Optical character recognition in this case, which is text, right? And depending on what you want it for and what I wanted it for, and let me see, is that yes. So this is my dashboard here. Hey, you're back. Oh, I see. Okay, well, you can hang out. Oh, really? Meow. Oh, Hedge Knight, that's it. Hedge Knight. Let's go to PDF ingest. Hedge Knight should be in there. Fuck it. Anyway, so one of the things I've been on a bit of a seriously. Oh, okay. One of the things I've been on tear of recently is being able to build a dashboard. Let me lighten this up here. There we go. Um, oh, there we go. I wanted to be able to know when things were being processed, when things were being handled. Did it get done correctly? Let me see if I can put something in there and then we can run that. PDF ingest, okay. PDF docs, downloads, blood of the sea. Don't smell that. I don't know where you've been. Is that a doc? Let me see what that one looks like. Oh, Libra Mortis. That would be another one I'd want to test, maybe. Exciting stuff we're doing here right now. I'm trying to find a fucking doc that I can put in there. Anyway, so yes. I want that one. That one. Put that in. Or PDF ingest. There we go. So I popped something into one of the folders so it'll actually process this thing as we're going along. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Ideally, you move the PDF into what I call the PDF ingest folder, which it has, and then it will process that. Right now, I'm in the middle of a redesign, version 2 of that, that is maybe a bit stuck. Maybe a bit stuck. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, I want to be able to make queries against it, right? So if I ask it questions, I want to be able to ask it questions about contents in the book, and eventually the inference engine would be able to say, take all of these books and create a custom adventure, something that take all of this information that you've just ingested and make me something that's a little unique. So if you took like Curse of Strahd, barrier peaks and other things, you could say, well, okay, well, now I've got a vampire named Strahd or named Bill who lives in a mountain, and there's some additional bits there, and then I can make queries against certain aspects of the the rule sets. Anyway, I was trying to create an inference engine to be able to ask and make queries that way. So ran into a good bit of issue just recently. Jesus. Where the system wouldn't work as intended. And I think that's, let me see, where's the, yeah. So I actually built a history of the problem, right? I have a large personal library of tabletop RPG books, splat books, mostly legitimately purchased. They exceed the content window, so I was looking at something like Studio LM for being able to ingest these things, or Notebook LM in this case. And problem was anything more than about 32 megs, and it breaks the context window, which means it can only hold so much information before it decides to say, "Oh, sorry, I can't ingest that." So I was like, well, my options are to take I've got a couple of PDFs here that are like 700 megs, right? Because they're scanned PDFs, or not digital made PDFs. So the version would have been larger, but like the Pathfinder books, second edition versions that I have are like 100 megs. I wouldn't be able to ingest those properly. So I needed a local version of that to be able to, ask questions like, stat block for a beholder in 5e or something without having to manually search, or what's the grappling rules. So if any of you play RPGs, you understand, people always try to have to look those things up for whatever reason. I wanted to split it up into smaller files. I did commit something called PDF splitter.py to a Docker file and an MCP scaffold, right? So I wanted to be able to make connections, ask questions, and what have you. Quadrant was the vector database, which is it takes chunks of data, puts it together, and indexes it, and says, it's gonna pull up various bits there. Olama was used for embedding via Docker Compose. So I actually have a Docker setup for all of this stuff that I'm running. It's actually quite impressive. I've got a M4 Max, and I am running not only dual streaming to 2 different places. I also have 5 Docker images running right now. Not taking up a lot of CPU right now, but if I was to process a book, that would get a little noisy, get a little wild. So My first iteration was, of course, marker OCR because I wanted, according to Claude, that was the best version. Like that was top flight, top shelf kind of stuff. Probably is, except not for non-print PDFs. Um, so I'd set this up, and it was actually in one image. So Docker Compose had a 4 GB image, so it was fairly large. I started looking into the ability to make queries or to make connections to these things. I wanted an API, I wanted an MCP, which are kind of the same things but not, and have semantic search, right? And I expose several different tools like collection stats and what have you, and that's what you're seeing here in my dashboard right there. Tells me what I've recently done. It'll actually pull down some markdown files. How in the fuck do I have cursor? Oh my god. Okay, I gotta turn that off. Don't allow. I have to delete cursor because I should not have that installed anymore. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to go in and reproduce these with markdown files and what have you. But it tells me how many chunks, how many pages, how many minutes it took, how long it took to OCR that and embed those within Quadrant and using Olama. I also have which model I'm using. I'm using Lava's 34B, 34 billion for Vision. And that comes a little later. I'll explain why I moved from Quen to Lava or Lava. Also have a Claude option here where I can change it. Yes, I know it requires an API key. So I can use Haiku, Sonnet, or Opus 4.8. I also have 2 different methods by which I can do extraction or PDF OCRs. It's probably overkill. I'll probably remove PyMove PDF at some point because I do have different versions of that now for that. Okay, so yeah, I could watch PDF ingest in real time. There's still some jinky bits in the UI. Sometimes it won't show the progress bar and what have you, but it is showing me that I've got at least 2,100 chunks of data, and the quadrant points are matching that. It will not anything that is similar. It will also not index those again. So that's why you see the disparity there on that. Let me see. All right. Yeah, I still have large PDF splitting. So the idea is that it will split those up into chunks and process those independently or in parallel. So like if I have a 700 meg file, it'll break up that PDF into certain chunk sizes, which it will automatically generate. Because the idea was like I wanted like 7 or 8 equal chunks like that. So if it's a 700 meg file, it may want 12, I don't know, 12 35 meg files or something like that, whatever, and parallel process these things. I'm still working on the backup portion. I do have it as an option because I don't, if I lose something, I don't want to lose it all and have to re-ingest, hundreds of books. So the idea would be to back up Quadrant, back up our SQLite states, and be able to re-import them later on. We put in PyMove PDF because digital-born PDFs are 8 to 12 times faster and do not tend to need as much processing, right? So if I put, digital made PDFs are a little different, right? There are layers inside of a PDF for like graphics, for text, and what have you. And I'm still learning a lot of this, so feel free to tell me I'm wrong, or there's something wrong, or something that clashes with your mindset here. But if I took I really have a lot of fucking stuff. I mean, I have a terabyte drive on my MacBook, which I just had to clean up because I had less than 60 gigs of space on there. I have a SDXC card in here that's got 2 terabytes, and I have at least 2 hard drives over there, one of which is 8 terabytes, mostly full of stuff. And one of the other things is I'm trying to get a handle on that. So, for newer books, because I'm also a Kickstarter whore, if I haven't told you folks before, books like this that are from, Roll for Combat, full of pictures, very pretty, nice artwork. I love that stuff. they have text in here, but again, in 2 columns. But PDFs are very much like a web page where you have text and there's an underlying text layer that it can actually just pull in all of the text out of the PDF. And you don't have to worry about doing things like OCR. So my initial version of this was PDF has got to have OCR. So it would go through and it would scan through all of this and pull all of this information. It would pull all this information times how many pages? 277 pages, plus or minus any pictures that might exist. And I ran into, it took a long time, right? Even with 8 to 12 times faster, each one of these was taking like 3 to 4 minutes for a 277 page PDF. If it was smaller for like a homebrew something, it was like 5 pages, it would take like 20, 30 seconds. But, and simply because of how the PDFs are generated in this case. Always was thinking about hardening some of the earlier stuff I did on 25th. I asked for like it. I basically asked the gimme that I tell people, developers at work. It's like now I've made this shiny cool thing. Tell me how a threat actor would break it, or assume the role of a threat actor and break it, or show me how I would be bad at it. And it was telling me the quadrant is accessible to everybody on my network. Probably not a good thing. There's no auth on it, so anybody could wipe the index. Olama and query servers were all like open to the internet because whatever Docker was doing was just kind of janky. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me move some PDFs out of the way because I keep opening them and I'm hiding my chat windows here. So, yeah, there we go. Okay. And yeah, so one of the things that I needed to do was I asked it, tell me how my baby is ugly. You just made this thing. Now tell me how you would break it. And he told me questions about, no cores or CSRP protection on the APIs. I don't have SHA-256 backup integrity. I have some cross-site scripting issues, which was interesting because it's just HTML style sheets and JavaScript, and there was no input. So I'm not, unless it's a DOM XSS issue, I don't know what was causing that, but string injection replaced with data star attribute delegation. I also tried to make sure that any API keys or anything like that was put in a specific place. Like I was trying to use 1Password's CLI because you can actually use it like a Talus or a poor man's HSM, right? In this case. So out UV sync. So I started running into issues. So as the image ballooned past 4 gigs, we were actually having issues where large PDFs were not ingesting properly. They were not going past page 4 of anything that I was doing, but then would come back and say, "Oh yeah, we're good." A lot of the problems that I had was error message. Are you back again? What is it? Well, Mama's outside and Big Sister will be home in a few minutes. But it would say that it completed, and it would say that there was 130 pages there that were being done, but the chunks did not match, right? So it would give me like 13 chunks for what I knew was probably a 130 page document, which, as you can see, there's quite a bit of difference here. 245 pages, 1,150 chunks for the world of Australis. And so, yeah, it was like the math isn't mathing, right? And so I really had to get in there with Claude and start having it put in print statements for things like generating logs, because there were no logs, or the output would not put anything out. So it needed to figure out how to build telemetry into the how to build telemetry and how to build diagnostics into the system, so that way I could monitor the progress, because I wanted to be able to see things happening on the dashboard. But there was nothing, right? There was nothing to say, oh, it's extracting now, or it's done 42 of 175 pages, or what have you. And yeah, it was rough. So, I moved some things out. I got rid of PyTorch because, I got rid of Marker because the other thing I found out was it didn't matter what the PDF was, if it was a digital made or if it was a scanned PDF. Actually, the scanned PDFs were much larger and longer. So marker would take about 2.5 minutes per page, which is a long fucking time for a 270 page PDF that was a scanned PDF. That's a little time, and it was resource intensive, right? Even my poor little laptop here, my M4 Max was blasting. The fan was running, which doesn't happen often. So I needed a more efficient way of doing things, and I was looking around, and I was asking, hey, will PDF Mux be able to do it, or is there a better, easier way of doing it? I'm like, I'm okay sacrificing quality for speed, right? In this case, depending on how much quality and speed I'm losing. And we had done a cost analysis basically, and it said, oh yeah, Marker's going to give you better than 80% on all of your stuff. PDF Mux will give you like 65%, but it's a little more complicated to set up. And I was like, we'll just set it up and make it work, make it user friendly. And because of that, it went from a 4 gig image down to like 290 meg image. Anyway, let me speed through this here. Yeah, this is where I renamed it. PDF. Yeah. So I had 3 tiers, right? The idea was digital made PDFs, much faster, should just be able to pull that text from the text layer, be good. Then there was a mixed thing, like if it was some of the PDFs that I know of would sometimes incorporate scanned portions, or if there was a low confidence, the mixed would be going back through and doing like a second pass on the OCR for that. And then tier 3 was scanned, and that was supposed to use Marker. And then come to find out that wasn't good. The other issue we had was we moved to BGE M3, which is another model that used the amount of data being pulled by the documents was overloading the context window for it, because it was set for the nomic that I was using was only set for 768 tokens, if you want to use Claude parlance here. Whereas something like a BGE through M3 was could take up to 8,000 token context window, which was a little bit larger. It's not the million that you see on like Sonnet or whatever that is. They've opened that up to allow a million token window for those things. But I needed something that was a little bigger and wouldn't fail once it hit that that token window. So. Yeah, PDF Mux page merging caused issues. PDF Mux returned merged multi-page blobs, not per-page results. So it would pull multiple pages, but wouldn't necessarily give you back all the text in this case. And indexing was broken because the pipeline assumed one result per page. There was a confusion there, communication confusion. Yeah, we had a lot of issues with the APIs and those kinds of bad, renamed to extract JSON, another rewrite. So yeah, I've rewritten several of the APIs with regards to this. Some of this earlier stuff, a little rough. So this goes back to the ceiling, the traditional OCR, classic RPGs, 72 DPI, which sucks because they make really, really poor copies of that, because when these were probably created, nobody wanted a 300 meg file, right? So if you put a 300 DPI, it's almost like going from 720p to 4K. So 720p would be very similar to 72 DPI, and then 300 DPI would be like 4K resolution. So it's like 4K, 4x the resolution to go from 1080p to 4K or something like that, and it would have been a huge file. So the traditional OCR tops out at what they call 50% confidence, so pattern matching, that kind of stuff. What it turned me on to was something called Claude Vision, which would have been nice, except Claude Vision costs money. Beyond the tokens that you might get from a Claude Pro account, you actually have to use the Claude SDK and the Vision SDK that comes from Claude. And the problem was, it was like, you have to buy credits for this. And I was like, wait, I already have tokens. And yeah, you have to spend more money to, after the money you've already spent on a monthly basis. And I was like, fuck that. Um, oh, and the other thing is the next bit there. So we started rebuilding it with the idea that version 2 was going to do a semantic understanding. And after I'd done some research myself independently of Claude, the idea was it needs to think better about sentence structure, about those kinds of things. And to be fair, it's still not perfect even to this day, but it gets better, a better confidence level. I added a couple of things here because it literally hallucinated these things as we go. I did ask it to, fix its history in this case. So I tried Claude. It works really well. I won't lie to you. It works really, really well. Problem is, 277 page book. How much was Claude for? How much? I actually did buy because I wanted to try Claude just to see what it was about. And to be fair, Claude would be like a last resort if I couldn't get a good. Yes. Settings, usage. Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, it doesn't show the SDK in here. I bought $20 worth of stuff because I was like, I hope it's not more than $20 for a book, right? Because that would be stupid. It was anywhere between about 0.001, so like a hundredth of a penny, to like a cent per page, which isn't awful, but it would still cost me like anywhere between $1.50 to $2 per book, which was like great. I have now like 4,000 books, right, or something like that. So it would be, not a small amount of money. So one of the things that, here's the other issue. I was all in on Claude to do this, but Anthropic has censorship issues to the point of it would not process any page that had depictions of violence or words with violent tendencies on them. Now, in a professional environment, that's probably not a problem. But in a book like an RPG, where because the thing that got me was, oh yeah, it ran. What did it say? It's like, oh, it processed this 130 page. It was a Legends and Lore book. I think that was the biggest issue. But so I'd get Legends and Lore, and I was like, oh, okay, it processed 112 pages, and I was like, well, why didn't it process the other ones? Oh yeah, it skipped it, and I was like, asking questions, and then it finally was able to spit out, oh, it has a thing against violence words. So a lot of your stat blocks in your characters in your sheets and stuff have like words like kill or death or whatever. And Anthropic just won't let me process stuff like that. And I was like, my first thought was, are you fucking kidding me? Nobody mentions that, right? And it failed silently. It didn't tell me that's the exact reason why it didn't process those books. I just thought maybe there was something wrong with the system, and I was having to do tests, and I was doing all kinds of shit. Come to find out, words make it hurt, and any mention of violence is censored by Anthropic, skipping pages because of violence words. And so I asked it, where is it? Yeah, Darkly Evolution. So I told it, I was like, on slide 12, you seem to suggest Lava did the censoring of content when in fact it was Anthropic's Claude SDK. I updated the slides for the HTML myself, but not sure why you believed it was Lava, not Claude Vision. And he's like, oh, you're right. I can explain the error. I conflated two separate failures in my research notes. Now, the cynic in me would be like, no, it's trying to make itself look better. It doesn't have a problem, it being Claude itself in Claude Code or in Claude Desktop doesn't have a problem looking at those files. It's just the SDK that seems to have an issue. And so it offered to make the changes. There was a couple of things where it was conflating two issues, like vision success was 64%, 100 pages extracted, 70 pages blocked by filtering. And that was the filtering was what got me. It was like, oh, by filtering, what kind of filtering? And Lava failed on JPEG. So There were some issues there with the 34B. And by the way, 34 billion bits actually takes 48 gigs of RAM. So my even now my laptop's running a little warm with all the VMs and everything running. I could probably process a book, but it would be very slow, and I'd probably need to turn off low power on this. So let me put it on automatic just for shiggles. Um, but I did get it to fix the HTML page that I have for history will change and modify that accordingly. But yeah, not all errors are programmatical. It took me several questions to dig in and figure out why I was skipping pages because it just said, "Oh, these pages are skipped," and I was like, "Oh, it's an issue with maybe there's images on those pages, or it was nothing but an image." Because I got several PDFs that are very similar to that, where it's like there's nothing but images on that page, right? And if there's only images, it's not going to process those pages, or it shouldn't process those pages. With an OCR only non-semantic model, it will pull all the text here. So map 6 near the forge, map 4 Toronto Pass, map 1 the region. It'll grab that information. Text is text, right? It'll even pull this stuff down here at the bottom, which would have no context, right? Like so. I wouldn't even understand where this was coming from. I'd have to ask it to seed or embed markers, or like, this is where I pulled this image from. So when I clicked on it, it would come to this PDF because it would go into the directory here and show me the exact page. Because that was one of the things I was like, cite your sources, give me a link that I can click to that goes to the PDF and tells me which page it's on, and so that I can do that. And this is first edition source book for, oh yeah, When a Star Falls. Okay, one of the official game ventures. So, but yeah, so not all errors are programmatical. I would use Claude if I had a book that didn't have any violent words in it, and I don't know what those violence words are. I assume words like death, kill, sword, other things like that. But PDF books, splat books especially, or adventure books are going to have words in them that are going to cause issues. So I was like, fuck it, I gotta go local, right? Or at least I was investigating Google Cloud Vision. I was also looking at Amazon's version. I think Text Extract is what it's called. What I didn't see any specific pricing information for Google's Cloud Vision, but Text Extract was, I would say, on a par with. Oh no, wait. Google has one, but they have different. So you get like per 1,000 units or something. I remember this now. If you take a page and it has text on it, that's a text. They call it label or something. So you get charged a unit for that. And then if it has a picture, you get an image unit for that. So you get 1,000 units. A page could have 20 or 30 units on it, right? So it would, in my opinion, the free tier runs out fairly quickly in this case. Walt, problem when your tools get too smart, they start to filter on content. I don't know why Anthropic did that. I don't know if it's because they want to make sure that violence doesn't exist somewhere, whatever the fuck that means. But I mean, any book or anything, any document that you ingest. I mean, if you had a policy and all of a sudden you put in, some kind of word that could be construed as violence, or you had a comment in there, oh, this kills or something like that, it would skip that entire page, not just remove kill or blank it out or whatever. Because I was like, what options do we have? Could we censor those words before you processed it and then just insert them back in? And it was like, yeah, but that would take like a major refactor or something like that. Continues to be funny on YouTube. It's filtering automatic captions. Yeah. A lot of YouTube creators will not add that this is not for kids. Like my channel, if you're a kid, go the fuck away. There's a myriad of other things that you can go and watch. I am not suitable for kids. So yeah, I started poking around through here. Lava had a 64% success rate. We're getting better at 64%. I need to remove this because the failure mode, because it said content filtering on violent and mature RPG work. Oh, that's the other thing. Some of the older D&D modules have, I don't want to say questionable artwork, but it's the chainmail bikini problem. I don't necessarily agree it's of its time. So it is what it is. Demons are cool. I don't know why violent mature RPG work. I'm a fucking adult. It shouldn't blue. So that's where I told it. I was like, hey, um, where made it sound like it was not it was Lava doing the censoring. So it didn't become a dead end for primary use, but there's additional bits that I had to put in for that. It's definitely a backup if I if I wasn't using this for RPG content, this problem would be solved and I'd already be completed, right? The biggest issue is scanned PDFs are low quality, so I need something that is a little smarter. We're getting to that. And, if it was just, like I said, white on with black, lettering, and it was something professional, because you can use this for professional work, not non-professional work. And I had to do a ton of testing. I was doing a lot of performance testing. I've been doing a lot of, how long does it take to do a digital made PDF versus a scanned PDF? And I have numerous examples of both, so it's not hard to do. So I try to find smaller versions of both. That way I'm not trying to process an entire 130 page, or I'll open up a PDF in OS X and I'll like grab 10 pages of scanned PDF and put it in. Let me see. The Coven source book we use a decorative blue parchment background. So, if you're a fan of, where is it? Covens. Yeah, Covens of Night, Covens of Midnight. There we go. This one was an interesting one. Where is the? Yes, cool rule book. Okay, there it is. This was an interesting one. I also kickstarted this one. It's a tarot-based RPG. I think I'm actually supposed to get the tarot cards here in the next few days. So this is a book with white text on it, and then it does switch back and forth. And the current system really hated this fucking book because it was like, I can't read this art. This art doesn't work. This kind of So it was switching back and forth between black and white, and then there's some of this artwork is a little on the lower side of not quality. That's just the way it was drawn that way. So this one I use for testing as well because it's an interesting dilemma there. It's like the original OCR that I was using before we've moved to what's called Dockling now, which is actually quite good, would not handle this. It only seen like 35 pages of this document because anything that was black on white, it didn't like. Black on white did not like. But yeah, so you can see that there's a good number of these pages that are black. They do have a few white pages here with regards to that, but yeah, it's a very dark book. Oh, okay, so yeah, there's some pages here. Yeah, okay, we get better at that. This must be another book that I've added. There's several books in here for this. So, Relics of the Past, maybe. Might have been Relics of the Past. Nope, that's all black text. Anyway, there's a lot of interesting backgrounds for these things. Anyway. Background color is irrelevant to OCR difficulty in this case. Once we've moved to a different version of all this. I remember when TSR changed demons and devils and to make them new names. Yeah, they had those for a while. Or what was it? Type 4 demons or something like that, because they didn't want to use the biblical names or anything like that. So here's the benchmark that changed everything. I started looking on June 3rd, so that was yesterday afternoon. Dockling, which is an interesting. I had not heard of it. I was trying to use more typical. Fucking hell, damn. Dockling.ai. It converts messy docs, which right up my alley here with regards to that. Simplifies downstream documentation and AI processing by detecting tables, formulas, reading order, OCR, and much more, which, like I said, right up my alley because a lot of the documents that exist have tables, they have formulas, they have reading order issues. You don't want to read left to right if you're in a 2-page, bit, because you really want to read half the page and then read the other half of the page. And yeah, so I was like, do not futz with version 1. I was like, we don't want to push domain on all this. We're still testing Dockling. So I created another branch. I was like darkly version 2, that kind of thing. Because the idea was I didn't want to ruin what we had already, because it does kind of work, right? And it would be perfect for a professional environment. I mean, there would be no problems other than a few of the UI issues, which I would need to fix, like the um, status area or something. But to be fair, the stuff that was really simple, like text, white text or white background, black text, 20 seconds for like a 50-page document. I had some old netbook stuff from way back in the day that was like a netbook of spells, which was nothing but white text, black background, no columns, very simple tables, and it worked like a charm, like 100%. Apparently, Dockling is a fairly big deal. I mean, they have a Dockling in Atlanta Summit. I don't know if this is a Red Hat thing. Looks like it might be a Red Hat thing. Maybe Dockling is owned by Red Hat. I don't know. You see, who owns them? Trademark policy? No, LF Projects Incorp. LLC. But yeah, so they have these. You can import doc, PDF, PPTX, Markdown, HTML, ASCII doc, Web VTT, tabular stuff, images. So, most of the stuff I have is PNGs or JPEGs anyway, unless it's a really huge scanned PDF, and then it might be a bitmap or TIFF in this case. I've never put TIFFs inside of PDFs, but and so it shows you the different kinds of extractions you can do, like extracting tables or what have you. And I'm still testing those out because, again, this is a black background with white text. I'm not sure why that academic paper looks like that. Maybe it reverses it for you or something. And then of course it shows you that it handles hanging paragraphs or what have you. But so far I'm pleasantly surprised at the quality that comes up. In this case, a 200-page book would take roughly 200 seconds, whereas some of the same documents took 83.8 seconds. So we're looking at a good fix there in performance. And so yeah, this is what PDF Mux gave us versus Dockling. So let me see what else. Why Dockling succeeded? Oh, it's an IBM product, right? It uses a neural OCR. I don't know about that. It understands document structure, not just pixel patterns. It's fully readable for the first time. So where's that fucking document I was looking at earlier? Coven. Oh, here it is. Coven's Midnight. Definitely must have been another book that I was reading that had that. Oh no. Okay. So yeah, several of these pages have white backgrounds, right? This was the one I had it doing Coven's at Midnight. So you can see where the white is, where the white text is in some of these. That's why only 35 pages out of 272 processed, because anything that wasn't a white page was having issues. So that's why it was only pulling those things. Again, several questions had to be asked of why I'm not getting all of the pages in that, and then it had to, let me go in and add something here. Let me go in and add something here, and it was like these. So I had a multi-tiered method by which we were doing this, right? It would do OCR using PDF Mux, and then it would send it off to something else, and it would send it off to something else. I realized on the third, when I started talking with it about Dockling, that the data generated by PDF Mux, so let's say we put a PDF in and it's processing, the settings or the PDF Mux would have the output, right? But the output that might say inform the second stage of how the PDF was going to be processed, it wouldn't save any of that data, right? So if PDF Mux came out and said, "Oh yeah, I managed to do it using these settings to get the maximum setting," but we're like 55% confidence. Let's move to stage 2 for this. Instead of going, okay, what did PDF Mux do, and let me build upon that, it would basically start the process all over again. And that version also had issues in a different way, like, oh, it's black background on white text. Ew, gross. I can't do anything with this. I can only handle white text on a or white background, black text. And that's when I hit upon the problem of this isn't a pipeline. This is a 3 individual tools trying to do the exact same thing and failing in different ways. And then that was at the point where Claude was like, yeah, maybe we need to create a better method by which we're going to do all this shit. And I agreed with that, right? So Darkly V2, right? It's a primary, Dockling is a primary extractor, replaces PDF Mux. It does per page routing, not per document. Why is that important? You know what? I have it in my document history, but I don't want to ask Claude again for it. Per page routing versus per document. See. Yeah, AI document processing. Here's Winder.ai. Here's another one, right? Traditional OCR, right? Where it breaks down handwriting, struggles with handwritten data, tables, right? It streams a stream of characters. It doesn't preserve row and column structure. To be fair, I have not gotten to the point where it's actually keeping that information as well. Varied layouts, right? Exactly. Poor quality scans, ding, ding, ding. Multi-page documents, double ding, ding, ding. Let's see, per page, right? Per page. Nope, that's not what I needed. Per page routing applies to optical user. Yeah, it's going to extraction rules to individual pages, making it ideal for complex multi-page. So yeah, if going back to some of my PDFs, if we have a lot of text on one page, it's going to process that page as if it were an independent book. It was a one-page book versus the next page might be a bunch of images with very little text. It's going to treat that book differently, different rules, right? Yeah, that's the reason why we would have that in that case. So V2 runs on separate ports alongside V1. I've actually turned off and destroyed version 1 just before we started playing because I was like, I still have the original like Docker images and stuff. I wanted to build those back, and it wouldn't take too much to do. But I think V2 is going to be better, and I can tell it. I want Dockling as the as the primary extractor. I don't think it will matter much if Dockling is the primary extractor versus something else. Coven sourcebook 2.9x more content recovered. So the change in the Coven's sourcebook went from like 35 pages to like 277, and figured it out that way. Classic modules, 4 to 5 times the amount of V1. So what was happening was it was basically ignoring whole pages, not just because of some of it was because of the violence issues, but some of it was because of the quality issues. It couldn't handle the quality. I also started doing parallelization. So I had 2 workers running, doing 2 books in parallel because it could handle it, right? Even now, it takes like 5 to 6 seconds a page. So there's not a lot of disk I/O. It's not thrashing. Disks don't thrash anymore, but it was doing that. And then Dockling loads on first use, not on startup. So that also reduces the amount of resources required to do that. So yeah, I'm working through some of this. Yeah, the PyTorch had an original. Yeah, so there's a lot of changes since May 22nd when I started building this. And I'm still building on it. It's still building that out. Trying to, I want to get as close to 100% as I can. I do realize, and I've actually got a work item for it in beads that, if we get like 95% on a 200-page document, there's probably going to be like 20 or 30 entries that might look a little funky. I'm more than willing to go in and like curate some of that. And it was like, the first one of the options it gave me when it was building V2 was like, do you want to correct all the mistakes yourself? Because that'll be problematic and time consuming. I was like, I'm okay if there's not a ton of them, right? And it could be that I could take it through a spell checker and it would say, okay, I see this chunk of a sentence that doesn't have any spaces in it. I'm going to, do some text analysis and separate those out for you. that's something down the line I can build upon for that. Um, per page routing, granular routing replaces per document profiler. Right. Again, the profiler is going to work per page. One of the last things last night when I was working on it was if there's two criteria for whether or not it skips a page because of artwork or skips it for another reason. Let me see if I've got that in my. Let's see, dark. No, that's not darkly evolution here. Okay, so we're still futzing around with that. Let's see how far back I can go on this. Nope, I started a new session today. Okay. It had like if there is more than 85% of the page is graphics, and there's less than like 10% text, right? And going back to that example that I had here, I was trying to get it to the Blood of the Sea. No. Anyway, the one I was showing you that had the graphics in it earlier. I was going to say, well, if it only has like 100 characters of text, put that in, and then Claude very smartly said, well, it'll collect those 100 characters of text. Let's say there's 120 characters. It'll collect all of the text on the page, just like I didn't want it to do. So he's like, you can add additional profile stuff to the document. So one of the profiler bits was more than 85% of the page has graphics on it, not including headers and footers and sides and shit like that, but also has X number of characters. It won't process that, or it'll skip that in that case. If there's like at the beginning of some of these splat books, several pages like the Eldamon one that we saw that had like 5 pictures, it won't even process that because there's no text on there. It'll just say skipped artwork, which actually helps with resources. It helps with speed, and it doesn't thrash on those things because the non OCR ones was actually thrashing on some of that stuff and causing performance hits. Let me see. What went wrong? There you go. 4 gigabyte image replaced with PDF mux, 93% reduction in performance in the amount of resources on that. Claude vision billing, didn't like that. I didn't hit the account limit, so that's another hallucination. Claude vision, my biggest issue was the censorship. I mean, if this thing would work, vision would have solved my problem 100% of the time, right? I didn't have to. Yeah, I could have stopped. We'd have been done. 1.0 would have been like Claude Vision. I could have ate the cost a little bit. I would have probably been a bit more selective about what I would have added and when and how much. But the fact that not only do I have to pay for it, but it also won't give me everything that I need is a pain in the ass. So the other thing I wanted to do was there was other things like classification. So I wanted to be able to add. So in my books section here, I wanted to add metadata for this. So I can change the title name here because some of these get a little janky. Like this one here, I pulled down from a legitimate source. I can actually change the name of this to the World of Australis or something like that instead of having to worry about having to rename every file in my directory based on whether or not it's a first edition AD&D or if it's a Pathfinder book or if it's a Fate Core or if it's a World of Darkness or GURPS book or what have you. I also have sections here where it will tell me if it's homebrew or a third party, which I really should break those out because homebrew is also third party, but then there's third party stuff like if I went to Paizo or if I went to Monty Cook stuff or something like that. Again, some of this is really geared towards RPG stuff, but you could rip all of this out in the UI and just say, give me the canonical title, add some tags. So if I wanted to add like, oh, this is for PCI or this is for SOX or this is for, whatever, I could, say this is for PCI, and this would be a PCI or a policy or something like that to use at work, or this is an AUP policy, or this covers AUP and this covers AI and this covers SOC. You can have those things, and then ultimately what I want to do is as I'm searching these things, I want to be able to delimit. So if I'm like only search in Pathfinder stuff, or only search in D&D stuff, or only search in GURPS stuff, and then I would be like, the professional side would be like only look in PDF policies, or only look in or PCI policies, or only look in the SOC policies or something. Hey, digital warhead. I'm talking about my grand experiment that I'm working on for my RAG, Project Darkly. Oh, sorry, still kind of at work. Yeah. I also looked into audiobooks, like if you want to listen to your acceptable use policy as an audiobook, you can do that as well. That's just something I was like, I just want to futz around and see if that works, and I can do that. And I actually could do that. It's not very good. I won't lie. It's not a proper voice actor. If you're listening to Jefferson Mays or something on the Expanse book series, which is Jeff Kids. It's definitely not that person. Jefferson Mays is beyond awesome. Also, the guy who does the Sufficiently Advanced Magic series also does some excellent work as well. But you can add metadata to all these and tagging and things like that, so you can know what you're tracking and how to track that stuff. You can actually, I've also set it to automatically re-ingest, and because I like usability, I have a dark mode, I have a light mode, I also have a colorblind mode. I need to fix it here because all the colorblind stuff ends up just being dark mode with different colors. So red, green, and I think blue, something like that. So you can change the colors so that you can see the subtle color changes. It looks better over here on my work computer because I put something similar in for a Jira dashboard that I'm trying to build, Project Harlequin, that I've got for that. Because I find the typical Jira dashboard is hot garbage. It's too busy. My brain can't process all that stuff, and I find myself avoiding trying to go to Jira. Historically, it's not a new thing. So I was like, I have Claude now. I can just have it dump the Jira data or do an MCP to Jira and pull the data that I need. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll just go ahead and build me my dashboard that I can use to track my folks' work. I can actually build my own metrics using Claude, and it's currently waiting for me to say yes on something. But having used Claude, and I will say this, there were stories that came out way back in the day, and let me go back to just me here. There was stories going back, I don't know, a couple months ago. I don't know if you remember, but there was a developer that had done something inside of one of the AWS availability zones and had deleted an entire production database because Claude said that was the way to make the solution happen. And yes, please continue to do so. And people were like, "Oh my God, why would it do something like that?" Right? Having now used Claude for a good portion of the time, the reason I'm having to stop and hit yes every once in a while, especially on my own stuff like Project Darkly here. What is this? Okay, so this is where. Oh, whoops, my bad. Hold on one sec. Okay, I think this is where a lot of people are getting beat down with some of this stuff. So allow this bash command, get-c users Brian document GitHub Darkly stash pop stash da da da. Okay. If I'm trying to, over here day trading or whatever, and I'm trying to do work at work and whatever, and I keep seeing this box come up and I let it set for 10 minutes and nothing happens. Like over here, I've got this thing running here. Yeah, let's do that. At some point, I'm going to be like, okay, not this session. But it's yes, and then it gives you different yeses, like for this session or just you, all projects, this project shared, this session. So you could say, I'm going to allow it for like star.star, right? Yes, allow forever, right? For all projects ever. So in a perfect world, it will never ask you for this command ever to run again, ever. It will just assume yes, right? I think that's where we're seeing the examples of where Claude deleted a production database to do whatever. Because things like this right here, where it's like, oh yeah, I don't ask me again to stash, drop, stash, whatever. Just do it, right? And there may be an rm-rf command or something like that, or it's going to run a SQL command. And in the past, maybe the people have already added commands in to say, okay, don't ask me to delete these certain directories or these certain files. And you run into that kind of issue. So I tend to not have it do this, or if I do it just for this session, that way I'm making sure that I'm not doing anything that is going to cause me any kind of issues. Yes, I want to add git ignore. I added one of the things that I'm still learning how to use is it kept a couple thousand files inside of the directory that it wasn't supposed to, and I didn't think about that. Which is the other thing. I completely understand now why it's super easy to upload credentials to GitHub. I want to say learning Claude has taught me humility, because it's like, oh, how can somebody upload, GitHub credentials, and do that stuff? It's really fucking easy to do. And unless you ask it, or they're inside of a JSON file, or you tell it, hey, I don't want to store things in environmental variables, I would like to do it this way, or is there a better way of doing it so that I don't have to do it, like an OAuth login or something like that, where I'll automatically take the JOT token after I've logged in, or log in but give me less than root permissions or something like that, or you log in as somebody who isn't root or as myself. So luckily right now I don't have to deal with authentication, which would be another level of shit that I'd have to deal with. But man, there's a lot of shit going on here. But yeah, so it's been an interesting couple of weeks with regards to creating Darkly. I've actually created another couple of items over here. Hello. Save state. Sorry, I was save state. And save lessons. One of the other things I've enjoyed is beads. Beads is fucking awesome. There we go. Beads has been very helpful in making sure that I don't end up with a ton of shit. And I'm actually figuring out how I can use it for project planning and project work with Jira. So maybe have like a local beads for work analysis and things. Oh, I need to have this done. But then use this task item, but then make a Jira ticket for it or something like that. So I'm trying to figure out how to, and I already have it syncing. So over here on my I actually have it on both. I actually have a script over here that syncs to GitHub. But one thing I wanted to do for beads was I wanted the work list here locally, but then I wanted to have, let's see, GitHub. I wanted in Darkly. I wanted my issues in Darkly as well. And beads will do that. You just have to tell it to upload these things. So this is all the work that I've done to date. I've closed 80 items. I still have 41 items open. Once in a while, it will forget, so you have to go tell it to sync up your local stuff to your remote stuff. So it'll push the GitHub JSON file that will update these issues going forward. So yeah, I've still got some stuff to do. Scanning only, OCR via splitter. Some of these things are left over from V1, which I'll have to go back in and tell it to remove that stuff, like vision completed, validate vision completed on that. So a lot of testing stuff as well. I put these in as worker parallelization. There's some issues like that. So a lot of these things I opened up yesterday. Skipping image only pages. That's the map and the art stuff. For dockling. So user owns physical books, can screen maps and art for LLL enhancement directly. No value in OCRing pure cartographic or illustration pages. They produce nothing useful, and garbage artifacts that pollute the vector DB. That's the important thing about not doing images. Oh, here you go. Implementation pre-strip. There you go. Use page profile.image coverage and page type scanned. Characters is more than 20 characters to identify map and art pages before dockling runs. Remove them from a temp PDF copy, pass the stripped PDF to dockling. This saves the actual dockling layout model time, 33 to 42% on map heavy classic modules. That includes the blue background ones that Walt was talking about there, with the the ones with the hatching and stuff like that. The old school stuff. I have a ton of that stuff, by the way. Speed savings measured. So Blood of the Sea, that was the one I had just done. Had 48 map pages, 35 seconds saved. So that's 42%. Hamlet, which was another book that a document that I did, that 24 map pages, saved 29 seconds. So there's some real performance boosts there. Every little bit helps, I think, at this point. So, okay, now we're getting to the bottom. I'm gonna have to have it generate that, and then let me go back to where I was. So, so currently it will ingest PDFs, EPUBs, docx, PPX, pages, and plain text. Right now I have Docker OCR plus PyMove for fast path per page routing. LLM synthesis, it's using Qwen 2.5. It will also use, I think what I have currently on there is the Lava 34B for inference engine. The other issue I had was I had to take Olama out of Docker, because I had Olama running in Docker, which was a great idea, except macOS Docker, so Docker native, does not take advantage of GPUs. It is pretty much a VM that runs Linux containers, right? It is not OS native, which I found out the hard way. One of the earlier V1 versions was like, oh, it's going to take 45 hours to do this PDF. And I was like, oh my fucking God. And then I started looking into how to make it faster. And and because Docker cannot take advantage of the GPUs like it can, I guess, with Windows, things like Olama cannot, hit the GPU. So I had to actually remove and install Olama locally, and then install the necessary LLMs, right? And of course, the ones models that I were using had to be vision capable, like Lava 34B. There's actually a smaller version of that. Qwen 25 is great for OCR. Have you looked at Podman as a replacement for Docker? I actually looked at what was that I looked at? Docker replacement OS X native. What was it called? OrbStack. That was the one that Claude suggested. And it is the light, fast, easy way to run Docker containers in Linux, develop at Lightspeed, blah, 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 blah. It's lightning fast, light as a feather, low CPU and minimal disk usage, seamless containers. It also uses the GPU, which is important because, like I said, Docker's great, but Docker doesn't work well with OS X. There are other options. Podman's another one. Podman would be great if you don't want to run everything as root, I think, which is another reason you'd not necessarily want to use Docker for everything. Podman might work. I don't know if Podman is OS X native, but I knew it was an option. Podman OS X native. No, it cannot run natively on Mac OS. Instead, it uses Podman Machine, a lightweight embedded Linux virtual machine running under native Apple hypervisor. So Apple's hypervisor. This gives you the full Unix Podman CLI experience directly in your OS X terminal. So Podman would be an option if I also didn't need to have the GPU. But I will tell you, the minute I put Olama on my GPU on bare metal, and then I basically had Claude wire up all the networking so that Olama and Qwen and all those would reach directly into the Docker, so they could make traffic commands and stuff like that. It was a lot faster, especially when it took advantage of the GPU. It also ran a lot cooler as well, having access to those GPUs, because it was running in it's 1600% CPU utilization, so it was maxing out my CPUs and not using any GPU cores at all. And I have 20 of them, so I want them to fucking use my GPU cores. Multi-worker, parallelization is important, because if I pop 45 documents in there, I don't want to sequentially handle them, right? I want to be able to do 2 or 3 of them at a time. I'm still working on the backup and restore. I want that just in case, because I've got a couple thousand PDFs in the quadrant, for indexing and chunking. I do not want to lose those. I need to have some backups. The other thing that I am wanting to do is I changed how it chunks up the files. So the way chunking and indexing works is like it will take a paragraph and chunk that, or it will take 100 words and it'll chunk 100 words, right? Which is fine if you're not worried about, missing half of that paragraph in another chunk that it would have to remember to pull, and maybe you miss that context, or it's on another page, or it misses it because there might be a picture behind it, so it can't read the OCR text. I actually had it chunk per chapter. So most every document has certain functions. It always has a header, always has subheaders, or it has a table of contents. So ideally, what it will do is review that. I think Dockling does some of that too, but PDF Mux and PyMu PDF were doing that as well. It will sense the structure of the document in many cases, not all of them, obviously, and chunk according to chapter or by section. So that it's pretty nice that way. I'm still working on this. It's a lot of fucking. I don't want to say it's a lot of fucking work, because I'm actually, the reason I haven't streamed so much is because I get off work and I will literally futz around with this thing for hours. It's like I understand the developer thing now, where it's like somebody wants to work on something, they'll work on it a lot after hours. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. And it's fun because I'm learning as much about Claude, and not necessarily programming. Well, I won't lie, I'm not learning anything about programming. I didn't write a single line of fucking code. But it's like I'm directing or managing somebody to do something, and I'm asking them questions. So like, when it says, hey, would you like me to implement this thing? I'm like, my threat modeling, my what can go wrong, hey, are you doing it this way? Asking questions intuitively, asking those bits there. Okay, so V1's deleted, so goodbye V1, goodbye Darkly V1. Lost 158 megs of files, but that's okay. I was still testing for the most part in that case. Ingestion 1.3 gigs, 22,000 files. welcome to the dark side. Have a cookie. What was that with the Bare Naked Ladies? It was on their Rock Spectacle or the live album. Have a fruit roll up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not coding like you are, Walt. I'm not even going to equate that to being the same thing. But I have a project. I'm working on it. I'm actually making a thing, which is I would never have been able to do half of the shit that I'm doing here ever. And I probably would have tried to use something like Studio LM and then just futz around and try to make it work, which is what I originally tried to do with PDF Splitter, and that didn't work so well. So I need to futz around with this a little bit more. But yeah, I have one of the other things I like doing when I build UIs is I have a PDF export, because a lot of the stuff you do generating HTMLs or markdown files does a really poor job of when you send the artifacts to like Claude AI and you've got that huge long UUID. It doesn't do a very good job of output, right? You have to save it as an MHTML file or something, which you can't import into Claude because it doesn't like MHTML files. But if you want all of the context in your export, you need to have a PDF export or an HTML export that you can have it read the content of that. So, but yeah, for Project Harlequin, which I've got running over here and it's still running, I don't like Jira's interface. So I was able to set up an MCP connection to our Jira. We use Wiz at the office and GitHub Advanced Security, so I've got MCP connections for them. I took the Wiz data from MCP on both of them for Wiz and GitHub, and I'm building a visualization tool that will take that data and not just tell me what issues exist on what host, but also what software dependencies exist on that host and which ones are vulnerable. So if we have a Docker image and it's running the latest Debian, but it hasn't been updated in 2 months, there may be 5 or 6 vulnerabilities on there. But it's also the same Docker instance that runs something that's exposed to the internet, and it has 1,500 software dependencies. Just saying, it's not real. It will tell me, okay, you have these patches for the OS level, but you also have these patches for the software level that you need to fix as well. And then I go, okay, well, show me as a threat actor how I would get meaningful access. Now, Wiz has those attack, if you've ever used Wiz in this case, they have attack paths, right? Like, this vulnerability and this vulnerability equal a toxic combination, and it gets you meaningful access into the box. By adding the GitHub data, the advanced security data, I can say, okay, well, not only is there a kernel level patch that you need local privilege escalation to, but I can show you that the software dependency on this box will actually give you that local privilege escalation, which Wiz would have missed because it doesn't track, or currently our system doesn't track all of the package information like that. And so I can say, well, this Python package that you get from pip has a local privilege escalation in it, and then using the local privilege escalation from that Python package and the local privilege escalation to root kernel vulnerability, I now have a direct path. And oh yeah, by the way, that Docker instance is exposed to the internet. So I can, it's not like, oh, I can say, well, we're 2 steps away from having, ourselves owned or something like that. So it gives me a better visualization from that point. And then Harlequin is like trying to, mature our security organization. And so it's like I'm creating a Kanban board. I'm basically building Jira's UI again. I'm just simplifying it and making it suck less for me so that I can use it. And so pulling down Jira information with MCP, whatever's open, who's assigned to, how long it's been in that assigned state. When our stand-ups come in, what does our backlog look like? What are we going to be working on next, etc. So I'm having it build that out and in a format that I can easily show my own boss, and he can show his bosses on the board what that looks like. So there's a lot of good work that you can get out of Claude in this case, and makes it, I don't want to say easier, but I would say democratizes the ability to do this stuff. I mean, like I said, I never would have been able to make this thing here, and it's not perfect, but nothing ever is. And as you could have seen, I have still a good bit of stuff that I have to fix with regards to that. I have at least 41 issues with regards to the new V2 because I literally started it yesterday, so I'm futzing around with that. But I've got plenty of data for that. Will I make this open source? Wait. No, I need to have this. I need to have. Come on, motherfucker. Come on, man. Oh, bitch. Trying to find a meme. Come on now. Need an animated one, assholes. Oh, God, this sucks. Oh, fuck it. Anyway, no, I won't. Probably not. One, because I actually will follow the license of, as is, don't expect help, no warranty guaranteed, no warranty granted, no quarter given. And will I open this up to people to offer pull requests or features? No. This is mine. Is that anathema to open source? Probably, but I'm not a developer, so I don't have to follow any of those rules. But it's just a cool little thing. And, if I made it, then you can make it an even better. Let's just put it that way. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You can just be a filthy PM and do your stuff. So, well, that was an hour and 30 minutes of me talking about those things. I actually do want to clean up these slides, maybe tell Claude to give me less than 22 slides because if I want to talk for a 30-minute time, I don't want to have to try to figure all that shit out. Um, but I think I may ask the local DEF CON group next month if I can, talk about Darkly and maybe give a little demo. So, uh, of course, then they'll say no, they don't want to have that. But at least I tried. Which would then further reinforce that nobody wants to hear me speak in public, and I'm only good for streaming as it is. So, all right. So, well, before I go, Socvel Super Quiz. Yeah, so we didn't do this one last week, obviously, because I was vibe coding up all the things. And so this one is from 29 May. So the new one might be out tomorrow. So just want to make sure that we have a chance to do that. Number one, based on Google's threat intelligence reporting, what type of attacks are BlackFile doing? What type of attacks are BlackFile doing? Okay. I don't know a lot of people doing vishing. I don't know what a quishing is. That doesn't sound good. Let's do phishing. No, it's a vishing. Okay. Vishing, huh? Video phishing? Video. Let's see what we got going on. Voice phishing. Oh, voice phishing, not video phishing. So they're calling up your CEO, or they're calling your finance officer and telling them to wire money to a legitimate joint in Hong Kong or something, which is basically Chinese nation state actors, I'd imagine. Let me see. 2026, Unk 6671, high operational cadence, assesses the group has targeted dozens of organizations across North America, Australia, and the UK. Okay. Not UK. Okay. Caller often targeted employees' personal cell phones to bypass security tooling and move the victim away from standard support channels. Okay. Typically masking as internal IT or help desk personnel. Ooh, wow, that hurts. Okay, because I mean, you're gonna trust if your IT department calls you up and says there's a problem, right? Citing a mandatory migration to pass keys and required multi-factor authentication. So this is how they're getting around 2FA in some cases as well. So. Phishing call functions as a live adversary in the middle attack. Process follows a rapid procedural life cycle. Victim is redirected to lookalike subdomain mirroring the organization's single sign-on portal. As the victim inputs her username and password, threat actor captures these in real time and submits them to the legitimate SSO provider. MFA bypass: when the portal issues an MFA challenge, the victim, believing they're completing a setup step, provides the code or approval to the threat actor. Right, and because you have a 30 to 45 second window, you put that code in, and then for 30 to 45 seconds, the attacker has access to a legitimate code that they can use to then log in and do nefarious shit on your business stuff. Yep. Okay. It's just that simple. It's also one reason why when I'm on my Google Auth, I try to wait until it's about to change the number before I go ahead and do that. So like you can't see what I've got going on here, but the bits here, like the little countdown timer on my Aegis here, it makes my phone vibrate. So I'll hit that at like 5, 4, 3, and I'll type in the number. The problem is, even after it's gone back and gone, gives you another countdown to 30 seconds, that legitimate token will still work like 2 to 3 seconds after it changes. So you kind of have to, you don't want to give them a ton of time to be able to do that stuff. So I try not to like give it a full 30 seconds for anything that comes up that I feel like I can do. So it's important to not have that kind of thing. So yeah, it's super easy to get around MFA now, as long as you can establish that level of trust quickly with a person, with a customer. Based on Kim Zetter's reporting, what was the FAST16 malware aiming to sabotage in Iran? Well, that's already happened once. That was a different kind of malware. Nuclear weapons tests. I don't know. Nuclear weapons testing. I don't know. I don't think Iran's got time to do nuclear weapons testing right now. I feel like maybe radar or surface to air missiles. SAM missiles, surface to air missiles. It's like ATM machine. It's okay. I'm going to say radar systems. That would make the most sense. No, holy shit. They're still testing nukes. Wow. Okay. Oh, it says likely in Iran. Okay. Bunker buster bombs penetrated. Wow. Okay. Yowza. Building support partially collapsed from blast concussion. This is kind of cool. Okay. Vantor satellite image showing damage from bombs dropped in recent months on Telegon, Taleghan site in Iran. Nope, it was actually nukes. It was actually nukes there. Kim Zetter, who's, I think independent media now, confirmed a remarkable piece of malware discovered years ago, but analyzed only recently, was designed to subvert nuclear weapons. Okay. So it was discovered years ago, but analyzed only recently. So somebody didn't think it was worth the time and effort until just now or just recently to put that information in there. Fast 16, designed to subvert at least 2 specialized software programs commonly used for simulating weapons explosions at the time the code was active in 2000. Okay, so this is 20 fucking years ago. This was back before Stuxnet. Stuxnet, I think, was like 2009, 2010, something like that. Let me go see. Stuxnet. 2010, yeah, 2010. So, goddamn. We're old. I remember when Stuxnet was new. Fuck. I'm old. Of course, they say according to this, they say that Stuxnet's been around or been in development since 2000, 5 years before it was deployed in 2010. So, I'm old. I remember Stuxnet and liked it. You young kids and your malwares. Let's close some stuff. 3 to 5 years before what? Okay. What does cert in, I'm assuming cert India, say you need to do in less than 12 hours? There's been several reports coming out recently about how long patch turnaround is. There's some, I think I saw something that just said it was less than 4 days. It depends on who you talk to. It could be like you're already owned. I'm thinking it's internet facing vulns. Yeah. Cert India says 12 hours. I think that there was another report out that it was like 4 days. So it really depends on who, which egg or which team you want to believe. If you want your team to do something different, then you would probably say Cert India believes 12-hour patching. That is nigh impossible, I will say. Even if you have a somewhat mature organization, you're not going to be able to turn that around fast enough. And it's not a startup versus maturity. There's actually a sweet spot, I think, where you have huge behemoth-ass companies, you have startups, and they're both on the same edge of the we can't patch within 12 hours. There's a sweet spot, like in a company where you could do this, but it's a specific size of company, specific maturity. If you're in a big behemoth fang, impossible. If you're in a startup, you're not going to give a shit, right? Two ends of the same spectrum, right? Your startup is only going to fail fast, and they're just going to do what they want. They don't have security people to care anyway, so it is what it is. That was a good one. I think Walt, we might be on a bit of a delay. I don't know. Paste. Sucksnet. Yep, that's definitely Sucksnet there, Walt. Next. All right, I got one. CrowdStrike and others took down the Glassworm botnet. Who was this botnet primarily targeting? Glassworm. I really wish that they would name these things. I heard that 10 hours is now the average for exploit code after patches and CVE get released. Considering I could take those patches and CVEs, and especially if it's an open source software, go in and look at, whatever patches have been in the last 2 months and do some kind of analysis. I could probably be an exploit developer writer now. So One of the things I actually was thinking about was there's a lot of a lot of tools out there now for doing reverse engineering and exploit development. Might be fun to do one of those on a longer stream where it's like I'm reverse engineering something, or I'm, actively searching open source, GitHub repos for vulnerabilities or something. Um, will I find a no day? Sure. Do I care? No, no. Um, we may end up having to, file a bug, but then it's like, okay. Banking clients. Why do we keep coming back to academic researchers? No, software developers. Damn. Does that mean I'm vulnerable to glassworm now that I'm a software developer? No. No, I'm just management. I just tell agents what to do. So um hey Walt, anybody on chat? Are you using Cowork at all at work? Cowork at work, specifically Cowork at work. Because AI transformation is hard and Cowork is kind of scary. So, what are y'all using for, how are you securing your Cowork in that case? Would love to hear what you're using to secure. And if you're watching this on YouTube on the VOD, let us know down below what you're how you're handling the AI transformation. And you can come back in 4 years when you finish up all that stuff and go, oh wow, we were hot garbage back then. So yeah. It's a global threat targeting software developers through open source supply chain. There you go. So open source applications. So I would be Glassworm minus the bot part, right? Glassworm infections. So deobfuscation, CIS check, dead drop resolution, AES payload download. That's a lot of shit. A lot of shit going on here. Trojanized VS Code extensions. Yeah, look at that. Open VSX Marketplace. Yeah, don't use the VSX Marketplace. You don't need to use that. Use open Visual Studio's code. Don't use third party marketplaces. Leave that shit alone. Yeah, anything that's going to affect VS Code is also going to affect Cursor, Positron, Windsurf, VS Codium, and more. Anything that's based off of VS Code because it's an open source project. If you decide to fork it and you're like, well, I want to make a better one like Cursor, I'm not sure it's better, but if you're using VS Code, then you're also using Positron, Windsurf, or what have you. More than 300 GitHub repos were poisoned using stolen developer creds. Again, maybe you should, do better, MFA or something like that, or add some additional bits with regards to that. Maybe lock down your repos so not everybody can, I would say as open source gets more popular, what a moron thing to say. As popular open source projects should maybe think about what kind of access they're actually giving to everybody. Won't stop things like stolen developer credentials, but if you have less developers, being able to do things like add code or whatever, maybe there's a way to do some spring cleaning and get rid of some people that you don't need in your environment. Which is one reason I'm not going to open source my stuff. So sorry. Not that I don't care. It's just I don't want to have to deal with that. So that being the open source experience. I didn't pop this one in here. So here's CrowdStrike. I have a feeling it's going to be another low day for me. I haven't been keeping up on my news recently. There we go. Alrighty then. Next. Eclectic, not electric, eclectic IQ warned the Info Stealer campaign targeting users of AI platforms. How are the victims targeted? Compromised MCP servers would be right at the top. But maybe there's another thing. SEO poisoning? GitHub Actions, phishing. GitHub Actions would be another very popular one. We already had a vishing one today. SEO poisoning? I don't know. I don't know about SEO poisoning. I'm leaning more towards ones like GitHub Actions or MCP servers. They're targeting AI platforms, so I'm thinking it's going to be along the lines of a compromised MCP server. Because right now it doesn't take much to set up an MCP server. Fuck. Jesus, I'm sucking. It really is SEO poisoning? I didn't think that was a thing anymore. Wow. Fuck me. Financially motivated e-crime actors will likely continue to expand opportunistic campaigns by impersonating AI platforms. These campaigns generate direct supply chain risks for enterprises as threat actors target software developer tooling, including AI coding assistants and package managers, compromise developer workstations. Sure, that's how they're going to get you. That's how they're going to get you. Okay. In early March 2026, Eclectic identified an ongoing info stealer campaign targeting Gemini, CLI, and Claude Code users. Claude Code, VS Code, all those things. Threat actors use SEO poisoning to surface fake domains above legitimate results. Okay. I wonder if that does Claude automatically pick like the top search? I guess it depends on how Claude is doing searches. Is it, which search engine is it looking for? So if you have SEO and Claude automatically picks the first search result that it finds, or finds, the top 10 are malware based, and you tell it, hey, go out and find the one, go out and find me a plugin that does blah, and it's like the first 10 or the first 5 are, illegitimate or malware ridden, you might actually pull down something that would cause that issue. InfoStealer targets Windows endpoints and executes entirely in memory through PowerShell, harvesting creds and sensitive data from a wide range of applications before exfiltrating the results in encrypted form to a C2 or command and control server. Beyond credential theft, malware provides arbitrary code execution capability, which financially motivated operators leverage to transition into hands-on keyboard intrusions against selected victims and execute interactive code within the compromised environment. Oh yeah, there you go. Installations from these impersonated websites result in exfil of OAuth tokens, CI/CD credentials, corporate VPN details. I mean, we just saw that earlier on the other article where it was like, you're going to get a link to a website that looks legit. You're going to put in your username and your password. Then it's going to ask for an MFA token. You're going to pop it in for 30 seconds when they've got a known good token. They're going to own your shit. So it's not anything new. It's like, so. All right. Bam. All right. Not doing so hot. Oh, wait. Copy. Link. Copy. Link. Here we go. All right. Microsoft warned of a cryptojacking campaign using what in addition to SEO poisoning to target users? Shit. Well, it's not. I can't imagine it's Facebook ads. I should pick Facebook ads because I'm like, I can't imagine it's Facebook ads, but it's Facebook. Oh God. Fuck. All right. I'm gonna do phishing only because it's come up so many freaking times. I'm out. I just, son of a. I don't want anybody to message me and go, "Oh, you're cheating." Nobody can do this bad. Okay? I'm telling you. Nobody can do this poorly, all right? And cheat. You can't cheat and not get any right. I got one, so I'm liable to get some more right, but campaign impersonates trusted system utilities, including Crystal Disk Info, HW Monitor, Display Driver Uninstaller. Yeah, okay. Trusted system utilities is called fucking Display Driver Uninstaller. Why don't you call it Super Mega Hyper Display Uninstaller a go-go or some shit like that? What the fuck is this? This is no. K-Lite codec pack. Jesus. Okay, these are not trusted. These are ones people just use a lot. Trusted don't mean popular, folks. Popular don't mean trusted. PDF gear to target users likely to own high performance GPUs rather than maximizing infection volume. The threat actor appears to be focused on compromising systems with a higher mining value. Sure, more CPUs or nice fat 5080 NVIDIA GPU. You're going to be mining all that crypto. So I hope they're mining something they'll actually see value from. If they're trying to mine Bitcoin, it's going to take you a long time, and you may not get anything from it. Unless you're added to a part of one of their farm teams or something like that. The hell? Oh, that's Bing search or something. April 2026 indicated users may be directed to malicious domains through interactions with large language model based tools. In these tools, users querying AI chatbots for software download recommendations were presented with links to it. Okay. So what have we learned? That even Claude is going to send you links to software download recommendations that have attacker controlled domains with generated responses. Jesus. Trust and verify, folks. Or verify, don't trust. I think we need to flip it around. It's not trust but verify. It's no trust and verify. So yeah, that's a good one there. So. And to be fair, this is from the 29th, so this is like a week ago. So I had plenty of time to do some research to not fuck up this poorly, but it is what it is. All right. Next, I'm at 17% accuracy. Yes. Fox-IT warned of a new DPRK, North Korea, Lazarus rat, that lives where primarily? Well, okay. I'm hoping that it's not the sewers, because that's where the Ninja Turtles live. DPRK Lazarus lives where primarily? Lambda functions? The fact that they've got Azure blobs on here and Lambda functions, I feel like that this needs to live primarily in memory. So I'm going to go ahead and put a rat in memory. Oh, yeah. All right. Remote PE, the Lazarus rat that lives in memory. Last year, and there we go. Last year, we published research about. They have a log. They have a citation there at the bottom. North Korean Lazarus subgroup targeting financial and cryptocurrency organizations encountered during multiple incident response engagements. This Lazarus subgroup overlaps with activity linked to Apple Juice. Apple Juice. Apple. I think it's Apple Juice, but it's really weird spelling. Citrine Sleet. Gross. Unk 4736 and Gleaming Pisces. In one investigation, we observed the actor had replaced Theme Forest Rat Pond Rat with a more sophisticated memory-only toolset. They're probably using Claude like I am to build stuff up. I wish I didn't have any ethics, because if I had no ethics, I could be a bad guy, right? I think I could. I just can't do it now because I have this whole thing of I like my freedom, and I have really, I like not going to prison. Follow up post. Thanks, Walt. Yes, me too. The DPAPI loader. Wow, haven't seen that in a while. Decrypts and loads remote PE loader from disk using Windows Data Protection API. DPAPI, right? Data Protection API. Remote PE loader beacons to a C2 server and waits until it receives the next stage. Remote PE, a rat executing entirely in memory and never written to disk, leaving no file system artifacts. At the time of writing, we've not found samples of remote PE loader or remote PE on VirusTotal. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, I love these diagrams. I'm gonna put myself back on here just so I can talk to people. The sequence diagram that we just saw, which shit. So the sequence diagram we saw here, right? If you're having to do threat models, or you are a software developer, and you're wanting to do, every time you do something, or every time you do a release, you have to go talk to those awful security people because security reviews, right? Security reviews. Um, or some kind of security accreditation program or something where you have to prove that your system does something and that you've done your due diligence. Sequence diagrams are great. They're great for a reason because one, they allow you, if done correctly, to show how a user is going to walk through and use your application. And then on top of that, it shows how each of your major components connect to one another or send data to one another. Now, in a normal data flow diagram, or a where you're having to show your threat model or whatever, or your architecture diagrams, you've got your data flow arrows going to a half a dozen things and whatever. Maybe you can't label all those things. Add a sequence diagram. And I'll tell you something, Claude will do that shit for you already. So, you can have it do that for you already. It will, I mean, all right, fuck it. Let's just go over here. So darkly, I said, oh, wait, I already have some. Let me go back in here. So, one of the other things I was doing when I was setting up Darkly was I was being very fastidious about things like doing security reviews, asking it questions about if I'm a bad actor, how I'm going to own your shit up. How would I own my shit up? How would you do these things? Oh, that's not me. Oh, wait. No. All right. So under Darkly, I asked to do a lot of documentation. So I mean, I am a documentation whore because one of the things that I was trying to do with other rags was I was trying to actually set them up, and I found that they suck. A lot of the instructions suck because people don't think about usability when they're doing a lot of open source shit. And actually, I need to update some of this as well because some of this documentation is old fairly quickly. But I had my quality bits in here, how much RAM is needed. So I'm running Llama 70 gigs, if you want to run that or whatever. What was it I was looking at? The diagrams. Let me see. Where's the architecture diagrams? Architecture diagrams. I did ask it to generate architecture diagrams for me. That's it. There it is. So I didn't expect it to be that big. Shit. So ingestion pipeline. Oh, okay. Maybe I've dorked it up. Huh. Okay. I assumed it was generating these correctly. But so there's a sequence diagram up here. There we go. Let me see. Can I zoom in? There we go. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So it will show me, all of this, but I need to recreate my sequence diagram. But there's a ton of, bits in here for. There we go. Yeah, this is overly complicated. The other thing is if you have a lucid chart or you have an Excalidraw or something like that, they do have MCPs for that where it will actually help you draw those things. Claude will actually draw a lot of your diagrams and documentation for you, which is very important. You can do the /security review, which may or may not find anything. I do need to fix this because these are garbage. I should feel bad, and Claude should feel bad. Yeah, because it's supposed to be outputting that as mermaid markup, markdown diagrams. So I don't know why it's not doing that. But I will unfuck that chicken. As a matter of fact, let me say. I'm continuing. Take a P2 beads work item to update architecture diagrams made markdown is not rendering correctly on the GitHub. I love beads. Actually, like I said, I was trying to figure out a way to use beads for my Jira work, for my own projects and stuff. So as a program manager at my company, I want to be able to treat everything like a project, right? And All right. Yeah, you keep doing your thing, and I'm gonna continue failing at my stuff here. So, Lazarus rat. There we go. Put that in here. Blink. There we go. All right, next question. Let's see if we can get a passing grade here. So, ESET warned that BT Mob Android Rat has what additional functionality? Oh shit. Okay. Wow. Records phone calls. Okay. APK builder interface. So, remote access tool or remote access Trojan gives you the ability to gain access. It seems like a rat would not do a builder interface. Maybe record phone calls. Why would a remote access Trojan record phone calls? Could it be a way to get around MFA? So in certain circumstances where you don't want to use a code and you have the option to call me, it will intercept and record those phone calls and then use the codes to gain access. Intercepting WhatsApp messages. Yeah, I don't know. Interact with banking apps. Ooh. I wonder if one of these B's means bank. I'm gonna go ahead and use interact with banking apps. 8. Okay, I would not have even picked builder interface. Shit. Okay. Well, let's go look at that one. I am the suck right now. Oh, they have a wooden horse. I wonder what that represents. Our recent review of threat detections in Brazil surfaced BT Mob, an Android remote access Trojan that is less notable for detection volume than for the damage it can wreak. The combination of phishing-led delivery, ready-made app building tooling, and device takeover capabilities make BT Mob a threat to watch beyond Brazil and Latin America. Okay, unlike banking Trojans, which only aim to steal financial creds or intercept their financial transactions, BT Mob gives adversaries broader options, exfiltrating a range of sensitive data, capturing screenshots, and recording directly on the device, ultimately taking control of it. The rat is also sold with an APK builder interface, allowing anyone to generate new payloads and adapt phishing lures for specific regions at a rapid clip and without writing any code. Wow. It's doing it for mobile app. APK is the package type for Google or Android in this case. Android package kit. Android package kit. Something like that. Wow. Everything starts with ordinary social engineering. Yes, sends victims to a phishing website, poses a streaming service, cryptocurrency mining platform, or other familiar online services. They're pushed towards fake app stores that mimic legitimate repositories and prompts them to install malicious APKs. I don't know what forces people to automatically move that stuff, go and download something from a site that you wouldn't normally download from. Makes no fucking sense to me. But what do I know? So, copy link, paste. There we go. Next question. What did GitHub make generally available to help curb the whole NPM attack apocalypse? I think there's too many TLAs in that PQC, PCIDSS, DLP validation. I think there's too many things there. Good try there, Jocko. Approved NPM publishers. Say that Occam's razor would tell me NPM malware scanning. That seems like the most likely version here. So because they would want you to have the ability to scan for those things. I don't know. What the fuck is staged publishing anyway? Fuck a duck. This is why I can't have nice things. Two-minute read. Oh, this was on May 22nd, so this has been out for a while. Today we're shipping 2 updates focused on supply chain security for NPM. Oh. Ooh. Scanning, yeah. No, it wasn't scanning there, Walt. It was actually the staged publishing. Is now generally available on NPM instead of a direct publish that immediately makes a package available to consumers. The pre-built tarball is uploaded to a staging queue where a maintainer must explicitly approve it before it becomes installable. The problem that I have with that is I can only imagine how many GitHub open source projects are ran, where you have, I don't know, 10 to 15 developers and everybody has the ability to push to prod. So unless they're making it so that the same person who uploads the tarball or whoever makes the package version available cannot also push to prod, so you need like some kind of two-person integrity bit, could be something, right? So like if, it adds that additional kind of level of security. Why are you pushing this or whatever? But then you get like, oh yeah, it's probably fine. Bob pushed it, whatever. Never mind that Bob's account is been compromised. Bob doesn't know yet. And, Tim from North Korea just, owned up your NPM package. They're saying that staged publishing reinforces proof of presence on every publish, including those that originate from non-interactive CI/CD workflows and those using trusted publishing with OICD, OICD, OIDC, OIDC, IDC. Okay. Human maintainer with 2FA challenge is required to approve a staged package before it's released to the registry. Well, considering all of the stuff we've just learned in the past, I don't know, 7 or 8 questions here, it's better than nothing. It's an additional level of shit that you have to get through before you can get to production. My guess is though that the same person who could stage to this staging queue could also push to production. So if I'm a bad guy and I have developers' credentials and the GitHub repo is set up in such a way that everybody can push to prod, even after you've got it in the staged queue. I just go in, I stage it, then I go in and I push it automatically to prod. It would be nice if that wasn't the case, but I don't see anything here that's suggesting that it's a two-factor thing or some kind of second person integrity kind of deal. So let me see. You can also run NPM stage published locally, but the highest value setup is CI publishing to the stage queue and maintainer approving from a trusted device. Okay, so there's a trusted device aspect to this, so like a pass key or something that needs to happen. So they would need the developer account potentially and like a phone that says, yep, I am definitely the person because I'm on my phone doing this. So they'd also have to have the bad guy. The bad guy would also have to have the phone that would be able to do these things. So there's an extra bit there that wasn't mentioned in the top part of that. And this is where I think that the more popular open source applications are, like curl and, URLib3, which everybody uses fucking URLib3 for some reason. They need to have these kinds of controls. And on top of it, I think folks like GitHub or, Node or NPM, the folks who have the NPM public, they need to force that stuff. And if the developer's like, I'm going to take my, very popular fancy ass open source project and go, it's no longer yours. I think we've talked about this before. Once you get to a certain point, you should no longer own your very popular open source project. We appreciate the fact that you're the creator of it, but somebody else needs to manage your stuff better, unless you can show some due diligence, right? Otherwise, it's just, if I decide I want to spend $100,000 and buy curl, or, I've got $10 million, I'm going to go buy curl. I bet the guy who owns curl would be like, peace. I bet he would. He's got a number. He does. Yeah. The guy who owns curl has a number. And if you fix that number, somebody's going to own the internet because everything runs curl. And if it doesn't run curl, it runs wget. So you own those two things, the internet's going to have a bad fucking day. Every embedded device uses curl or wget for OTAs, over the air updates. They do. How can they not? There may be some other things, some other outliers, but the vast majority probably use curl or wget in some way, shape, or form. Anyway, let's go and fail. Let's go fail this thing. Let's fail this mother. Because I cannot pass with a 22%, even if I get this last one correct. So I'll be lucky to get 3. We'll see. All right, next. Who did the FBI warn? Who did the FBI warn is the silent ransom group pretending to be to get victims to allow them physical access to their systems? Wait. Okay, so so there's a group called the Silent Ransom Group pretending to be somebody or some organization, probably law enforcement or what have you, to allow them physical access to their systems. Oh my shit. God. Yeah. This is nuts. I'm gonna uh it oh God, this would hurt so bad if they said they're Microsoft analysts. It says physical access. That means that they're either in cages in a data center somewhere and they've gotten physical access to the data center or to the, I don't know, wiring closet in the bathroom where your server racks are. I don't know. It's the coolest place in the building, so you got the good ventilation. Or IT support. I really want to get this one right. Walt, give me an answer, bro. I want to lean to law enforcement. DEA doesn't make a lot of sense, but I feel like it's one of these 3 because I can't imagine somebody walk up and go, "Hi, I'm from the DEA. I want to look at your boxes." I can't do it. Microsoft Analyst is just so stupid, but the fact that it's in here, I'm second guessing myself. All right, I'll give you 5 seconds if anybody wanted to answer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to say FBI investigators because that would make the most sense. Hey, we're the FBI, even though the back of their jackets might say fib on it. I'm going to say FBI investigators. Oh, okay. IT support, I can understand that. Impersonating IT, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, I got 2 out of 10 on that. And I fucked it up. All right, hold on a sec. Can I skip back? New quiz every Friday. Okay, so tomorrow we'll have the new one. Let me restart. There we go. Yeah, I thought it was FBI too, but it's not. So hold on, I'm just gonna zoom through these because I didn't get that last one. I got 2 right, 2 in a row. I'm doing better guessing. Just adding when in doubt, Charlie out. I guess is or when in doubt. Damn, I'm doing better just guessing and just adding C and D. So somebody, somebody, somebody remind me the next time I do this that if I'd picked D and C on half of these, I would have gotten at least 4 out of 10 right. Oh my god. See, if I'd have picked C and D on all of these, I would have at least gotten half. So fuck, I did it again. Okay. Anyway, um, who was it? Silent ransom group. FBI. Okay, so yep. Okay, so I can't guarantee this is the correct one, but Google is smart. Google is wise. According to cyber threat actor SRG, known as Luna Moth, Chatty Spider, UNC 3753, targeting law firms. Okay, using IT. Oh, okay, that makes sense. See, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, paste. Just got my new dynamic DNS shell script to work. Fantastic there, Walt. Excellent. I remember having to have a dynamic DNS script on my router so that I could host a local server. Okay, this makes sense because a lot of law firms don't have their own IT departments, so they're third-party IT. They also, because of legal requirements, can't often leave their servers and data in the cloud because of ACP requirements and data handling requirements. So a lot of them still they have servers somewhere in their offices so that they can store important data on site and within their control, right? So yeah, you put on a vest. You're from Joe Bob Billy's IT security IT department. There's a problem with your router. Oh, okay, cool. They come in, they get physical access to the boxes. They plug in a land turtle or something like that, or not land turtle. What are they plug in something from Hack5, and then they have a shell that goes out and goes back. And then it exfils all of their data out, right? They've been operating since 2022, primarily known for their callback phishing emails masquerading well-known businesses who offer subscription plans. Once the actors establish persistent access, the threat actors will identify valuable information to exfil before sending a ransom notice to the victim threatening to share victim's data if ransom is not repaired. Yes. Oh, they install WinSCP, which is always good, or ArcLone connection made to an external IP address. So WinSCP would be outbound port 22. So that's actually an interesting question. How much egress will you see like outbound port 22 with regards to that? Yeah, good stuff. New unauthorized downloads of system management or remote access tools. This would be where you are supposed to be monitoring egress, and all of a sudden, if a server's starting to make network connections that it's not supposed to, this might be where it'd be like this server has no need to go out to the internet at all ever, except to like Windows Update. You might block everything except Windows Update. Because it's not supposed to go out to winscp.net. It's not supposed to go out to arclone.com. I don't know. I use WinSCP when I was on Windows. So that's why I know about WinSCP. But if it's going out to AnyDesk or any of these other systems, that would be a huge red flag, especially if that server's not supposed to be egressing anywhere or doing anything. So I'm going to put that link in there. You can go read that. Yeah, that's from FBI.gov. That was my guess of where Jocko pulled that from, or Yako. Sorry, apologies. I just see JCO down here. But definitely go check this out. And I did not do good. I don't want to share those results because those aren't my real results. So, there we go. Copy link. Yeah, and I should have done this. I should have done this for our office yesterday. So, anywho, it is it's past my bedtime. I'm actually about 45 minutes later than I normally am. Yeah. So I did poorly on that. I'm going to have to definitely do some research and actually read some news and stuff. I literally have just been doing eat, sleep. I took a jog earlier today, and been vibe coding the fuck out of stuff. So, going to be a long week. I gotta reach back with Mr. Betcher and Miss Berlin. I think Miss Berlin is very, very close to becoming a Mrs. I know that her wedding is due to be very soon, so I don't know if we're going to have her on in the next month or so, because I want to say it's a June wedding because that's how it is. So I need to follow up with her. I did get my airfare to Vegas, which is like an hour and 25-minute flight, but I will be there from the 5th of August to the 10th of August because as a goon, we have a thing that we do after the conference called CabanaCon, where we all hang out at the pool and drink ourselves sick, and just general camaraderie there. So if any of you are in the area of DEF CON for Vegas this year, I will be there. So I'll be your friendly neighborhood line queue person. I'm also doing LineCon on Wednesday night at DEF CON. So if you are one of those people that want to be the first in line for DEF CON, I'll be there from 5 to 8 p.m. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. It's only June now. So, but it's what, not even, see, like 70 some days away. So it's coming. Hotels are a premium. So make sure that you keep track of, your hotels. And, if you have to stay off strip, that's fine too. It's whatever's safer for you. So anyway, I'm going to go. Thanks, Walt. Thanks, Digital Warhead, for hanging out. There's some definite things I want to do with regards to the stream. Like you see my background here, I'm futzing around with that. That was all AI powered. It was very easy. It's actually just an HTML web page and style sheets that make little balls and temperature, not temperature gradients, but color gradients that move around in a random way. So also looking at something that might actually auto publish for me to my RSS feeds and stuff like that. I want to play with that because YouTube has an RSS feed. Like you can use that, but the problem is Libsyn, I don't know, has a good way of making that happen. So being able to publish videos or something directly to all of my places without using Libsyn would save me like $20 a month. So plus allow me to have my metrics in YouTube, which would cover both my audio and video stuff. So looking forward to seeing about doing that. I'm also investigating using Claude for DaVinci Resolve, which DaVinci Resolve has Python APIs for scripting, so you can do some things like edit video and stuff. Also has an MCP for additional capabilities. Like there's a, let me see. There we go. They just issued version 21 right now, so there are various different MCP server integrations for DaVinci Resolve Studio. You can handle certain aspects of or control of DaVinci Resolve. So you can do things like editing, media pool organization, render setup, review markers, grading, Fusion, Fairlight. Fusion is it's like Blender Light, so it's like animated logos and things that you can put on your stream. Fairlight is the sound editing bits. The newest version of DaVinci Resolve also has basically Photoshop or something for image manipulation and what have you. Extension authoring, source safe, media analysis. It also has its own AI, so you can interact with that AI to do things like take out all the uninteresting shit that is in your video, and then there would be nothing in my video. So, but anyway, I'm going to be playing around with that as well to see what I can do to improve the editing bits there. And it's super easy. It uses NPM. This isn't the only one. There's actually one that has like 440 different controls or something. 100% API coverage, easy setup and support for Mac, Windows and Linux, experimental along with most popular IDE and CLI tools. 324 features in this one. So if you want to use Samuel Gursky's one, it has 340. I think there's another one that said had 440 bits there. So if you're interested in learning how to edit video with an AI, there you go. And DaVinci Resolve is free. Studio costs about $300, but it's a lifetime license, so it's a one-time deal. I would say wait for like a sale or something like that. Or you can buy kit that allow you to make edits or whatever, but it's not like a Adobe Creative Cloud license where you got to pay every month. It's a lifetime $300 deal, and it's stupid nice. It's a stupid great free piece of software. The $300 does things like transcription. It has AI in it. It also has some additional capabilities, but it's like Burp Suite. So for you security folks that use Burp Suite, or for you developer folks that use Burp Suite, the free version is more than capable, and there's actually free plugins for that as well. But it's like if you want to pay for Burp Suite, and of course you now have to pay like a yearly fee for it. But yeah, it's worth it if you use it a lot. So anyway, yeah, cool stuff. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you all for being here and hanging out with me. I'm a little later than normal, but yeah, I hope you have a good day and good rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Okay? All right. Bye, everybody.